What's good, people?
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Talk Your Walk podcast. I'm Austin Lipka. I'm your host, and my co-host, as always, is Noah Wilburn.
What's good?
And in the producer seat, we've got his producer / co-host. My bad. We got George Miller.
It's your boy.
Exactly. And as always, we got a recurring guest that I know that you guys love to hear from, Matthew Cheek, who is a good friend of ours, and he's back on the podcast to talk about some recent news.
What's poppin', guys? How y'all doing?
So what's poppin'?
I have a question. Why do you always say, as always before everybody's introduction? You said as always before his, and then before mine, and then before his. You literally said like 4 times.
No. I want to explain something to you.
As always.
I could give you a long explanation, but the truth is, I just don't care. I'm going to go with that.
I respect that.
Cue's air horn.
All right, so the last time we had you on was episode 14, was with you and another...
Celia
Shankman.
Celia Shankman.
Shout out to Celia. Appreciate you being on the podcast.
All right. So the last time we had you guys on, we kind of did an experimental thing where we thought that we could do... we thought that we could pull off
I pulled it off.
You know...
people enjoyed it.
No, people regardless enjoyed it. What I wanted to really get a feedback on is we haven't really talked to you since then because we want all of these conversations to be really genuine and just kind of see what you thought about that episode and how you thought it went.
In regards to the episode, I actually really did enjoy the debate that we had. For the most part, it was very educated. There wasn't a whole lot of banter until certain sensitive subjects were hit. But up until then, I really did enjoy...
That mic closer to you.
I really did enjoy the... I really did enjoy
So sorry.
Listen to the
podcast.
Put the mic back down. This is not going to turn into an ASMR podcast. Stop.
No, all in all, I really do enjoy what you guys are doing. It's an honor and a privilege to be back on the show again.
So awesome,
man, for sure.
Glad to have you here. Honestly,
yeah.
Awesome.
No, you're one of the few people that after we had you on, we automatically realized this is going to be a reoccurring guest on the podcast. Not only because you're able to bring it every time with what we're talking about, but you genuinely, I feel like you like you said, you enjoy doing this. You enjoy the process of doing this. Since the last time we saw you, we haven't really talked to you. I mean, what's been going on?
Well, I grew out the beard. That's different than last
Looks
time.
great, by the way.
I
didn't get to talk to you like at all. I wasn't on podcast. I was kind of sitting.
Yeah, we had to
as always, sitting behind the camera,
more of a
doing my thing.
I'm glad you're here now.
Yeah, dude, it's great. I can barely see half your face because
Yeah, it's only the upper half.
Do what you gotta do, man.
You
Gotta do what you gotta do. But it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good podcast.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good podcast, boys.
Yeah. Since our last podcast, I've really been doing a lot of soul searching. I've been doing a lot of, especially for myself, religious searching for peace. That's a big thing that I am trying to change in my life. But also, I've been listening to a lot more heavy metal, very contradictory to trying to find Christ.
Low key got me into it.
It's contagious, and actually, it's really awesome. I did find some Christian heavy metal, which I am addicted to now. Disciple, Iron Sharpens Iron, great bands. Shout out to my boy Malcolm for helping me find that. But yeah, no, definitely the big thing that I'm trying to work on right now is chemistry. That's the big thing that I have.
Very hard subject.
Chemistry, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for me to just memorize all the different compounds.
Wait.
Which is the basis of chemistry. If anybody knows, the compounds is pretty much how you do the rest of chemistry.
Yeah, I totally forgot. Shout out to Miss Bolin, or what's her last name?
No, stop.
Oh,
That's a whole other world we're not going to bring into this podcast.
Those cans. Some of those cans contain worms.
That's hilarious, though, because my brother, he's super into heavy metal.
What type of cans are we talking about?
Speak into the microphone, please, sir.
No,
we're talking about the opposite ones.
We're talking about cans that are full of not only worms, but also centipedes and millipedes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a can of hate.
Wow. My brother,
the bug kind.
My brother is extremely into heavy metal, and we're in the car one day, and I think he had to pick me up because I drove a moped and the thing wasn't working. So I contacted him. I was like, "Hey man, I know that you get off. I know that you guys. Screw you, dude. Screw you. All right, baller on a budget.
Laps in V8. Okay? Laps in V8.
Laps in V8. Yeah.
Laps in V6.
Rest in peace, headphone users.
Yeah, they're gonna love this. But I get in the car and the first thing he plays is like some super heavy metal song, and he goes, "Get a load of this," and it goes in like a 5-minute riff, and then all of a sudden the only lyric is "Refuse to let my life be reduced to rubble. When the shit keeps piling up." And then it just goes hard. Grab a shovel, and that's all that's all I remember from the rest of that song. And automatically since then, I was like, I'm not into this.
I'm not
I'm
into
not into that.
That makes sense.
It's
it takes a certain type of.
It really does, because you're talking to somebody that comes from like blues, rock, like that. Like I'm more like, and blues goes hard, but it doesn't go, ear hemorrhaging hard.
Goes hard. Yeah.
Kenny G, well, that's jazz. I was about to say
Kenny
G.
G.
Just like.
Yeah, no, not my thing.
Jazz is a different type of beast.
Yeah.
So besides music aside and all that good stuff, what else have you been up to, Matt? Besides chemistry and all that good stuff.
Mainly trying to figure out who I am and who I'm supposed to be within the world. Mainly right now, I'm dealing with some issues with this whole freedom of speech on college campuses. That's kind of been a big topic for a lot of different groups.
Let me ask you this: Did you see Will Witt come out?
Will Witt did go to UF, and I am
shout out to Will Witt, man.
Yep, thank you, Will Witt.
PragerU, we see you.
You already know I follow PragerU, man. I absolutely love what they do.
All of us here do, yeah.
It's absolutely amazing, and I feel like that has been a major topic for a lot of these left-wing, right-wing, independent media groups is freedom of speech on college campuses. Does it exist? What's the limits to it? Where does it start? Where does it end? And I feel like that's the conversation that we truly need to have, because there are some hidden restraints on freedom of speech on college campuses that not a lot of people quite know of. They'll say, "Oh, I believe in freedom of speech. Everybody should have their chance to say something." But there's a caveat to that. There's a catch-22, and I think you guys kind of know what a catch might be to freedom of speech.
Like when the speaking is hateful towards certain peoples.
Exactly.
I wouldn't even say that it's as much hidden as it is that it's been around for such a long time now, almost a decade, to where people have become either so numb to it, or these teachers or professors that have tenure, or they start to basically get embedded in this way of thinking that once it's been around for that long, they don't really seem to realize what is hate speech, or if hate speech is a thing that actually exists in the first place. You have something that's a constitutional right, like freedom of speech. And then when you really think about it, if hate speech was something that was created modernly in the late 2000s, why are we now, how many new things are we going to keep creating to keep putting restrictions on something that's supposed to be a right like that?
Well, isn't the new thing like microaggression?
Yeah, so
isn't that the new thing?
Yes.
That's what's hip? So
back to hate speech. Hate speech has arguably been around since the dawn of time, but then the definition is what changes. Not so much the severity, but the definition, and then how much. What is hate speech? That has changed.
So hate speech, like the definition of it would be, speech that offends somebody, or what exactly is?
So hate speech is defined as speech attacking a person of different race, gender, ethnicity, religious views, political views, but it's not so much offensive. It's not so much offensive grammar. It's more along the lines of threatening, or harassment, or discrimination.
Literally the third word in the I'm guessing Webster dictionary is abusive or threatening speech. So
threatening, and so. But there is a caveat to that. The caveat to that is context and circumstance. What is the context? And that's the thing that kind of gets tricky is, am I truly, and that's where texting and emailing gets so kind of fuzzy, because you never get context or the circumstance.
Yeah, you can't get tone through a text.
Exactly. Social media being included.
Yes.
Also, the whole, not animosity, what is that word? The, when you're going through like a social media platform online, you're no one. You can just
anonymous.
Anonymity, whatever that word is.
Well,
that whole thing.
Somebody grab us a dictionary, please.
The thought behind it Wrong podcast. The thought behind it is that when you're anonymous like that, and you then can get away with all the things that you're saying online, or that you may say online that you wouldn't say necessarily to somebody's face, and that's what comes with anonymity.
Anonymity.
Those are the. All right, those are the things that
Thank
come.
you, busted Siri.
Those are the things that come with that. So I would say that that being included, not only are, like I was saying, not only are texts and things of that sort being included, but social media is playing bigger than a role than ever. Now that we have people saying that when you can destroy somebody's career for something that could be labeled potentially hate speech on a platform like maybe Twitter, where's the line drawn? Yeah.
No, and then that kind of bleeds into the whole issue of being offended. Where does being offended begin and end? I have personally dealt with this sort of issue to where something that would have offended me has been said, or something that would have offended someone else has been said, and there's kind of multiple things that go into whether that comes to fruition as an issue or if it gets thrown out. The way I was raised is to suck it up, cupcake. That's the way I was raised.
I learned buttercup.
Buttercup, cupcake, whichever one. I think cupcake sounds a little bit more fruity, a little bit more feminine.
Suck it up, buttercup.
But so the point being is being offended has such a broad description and no defined definition to where you can quite literally be offended at anything. There could be anything that someone says, does, or has a habit of, and that could offend you. Walking through the left door when you're supposed to walk through the right side of the door at Walmart, that irks me, doesn't offend me. But someone could take that as an offense. So that's simple, very simple. But what I'm trying to get at is that being offended is there's no longer a definition for what offends people because it's fluent, it's fluid.
So pet peeves have become the new offensives?
A piece of it, pet peeves have been added on. I wouldn't say that they completely are what is offensive. Pet peeves have just been added on.
So let's start big. So I heard recently that, someone was sitting in the college classroom and they said, or the professor was saying, you being white is oppressive and whatever to, what I'm talking about, to this African American female.
Yeah.
And they looked at each other like, it just got awkward. It was like, I in no way feel for, but like, so does he have, like, somebody saying that though, that causes problems.
It's not just ignorant.
I mean, that's issues on top of issues on itself. Yeah. But let's focus on what he said.
It's not just
and
ignorant.
Why he said
that's not just ignorant. It's dangerous.
Well, exactly. But that's what I mean. So would that be? So, I guess the first question is, do we classify hate speech as something that is real? And if we do, what is it? And what would
that constitute?
What would that? Yeah. And then, because what he said, what does that fall under? What is that?
So I'm going to break it down. You had said that when a professor says that a white male, female, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nowadays, is offending someone of let's say black, someone who's black, because of their color, because of the history behind it. I'm going to say this: that in itself is it's poison. To pretty much say that white privilege or anything along those lines is a birthright is outright wrong. And I will fight that to my death day. What I continuously try to project to people with that type of mentality is we need to stop pretending that we are not of the same race, that we are not all humans. We need to stop pretending that our color defines who we are. I know that's a big movement that everybody's like, be your own person, your color, your body shape, that all defines you. No, that definitely does, but it doesn't separate you from who you are as a human.
Right,
for sure.
So anytime someone says you have white privilege, especially to me, whenever someone says I have white privilege, I I chuckle at first, and then I ask him, well, what does that constitute?
And for anybody who's listening right now, Matt is biracial. So.
Yes, father is black and Native American.
Oh, that's good because yeah.
Wakanda. No, I'm playing.
Oh no.
I'm so over that.
Chadwick
so
Boseman, I'm
done with
so sorry.
But no. So anytime someone asks me, I say, what does that constitute? And they say, and it's not so much white privilege isn't so much white people are richer than any other people, because that's actually not true. Asians make more money than white, black, or Hispanic people within the United States. You can look that up. Fact check me if you want. That's a true stat.
You also said that on the Celia.
Yes,
podcast as well, didn't you?
exactly. And but that's the thing. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter which race is making more money, because we are one way. We are one race, human race. Back to the issue at hand. They'll normally say, you don't have to worry about being pulled over by officers. Well, yes, I do. If I'm not riding with a seatbelt, if I have an open beer bottle or liquor bottle in my car. Actually, the other day I picked up some Jack Daniels, and on my way home, an officer passed me, and I kind of pushed it under my backpack. It's just a sixth sense that you have because of what officers represent. They represent enforcing the law.
Oh, Matt is 21, by the way, guys.
Yes.
Just letting you know.
Legal age.
Right.
Disclaimer. And then they'll go on to say stuff like, well, when you go to file your taxes, oftentimes people of different color will get discriminated that way. And I oftentimes say, well, that's not necessarily a privilege to those of lighter skin. That's a discrimination against those of darker skin. So why do we call it white privilege when we can call it black injustice or Hispanic injustice or Hawaiian injustice, what have you? Why do we have to pin it on one race and make it a negative thing to where we have people literally putting chains around themselves and protesting, saying, sorry about what my ancestors did to you? Like, first off, how do you justify 200 plus years of slavery by just kneeling down with some chains on? I don't think that's how you solve anything. You would have to, if you want to solve the issue that we have right now with that sort of racial divide that we're having, how about donate? How about go to your local inner city middle school and high school and try to do good there versus protesting and trying to bring this whole issue into fruition, which is already brought into fruition, instead of going out there and actually doing something about it.
So let me ask you this:
the one thing I would say, upon that is, like, in the older one, is the double D's: delusion and division. Mm-hmm. When you have something like that, not only does it create delusion in the people that want to appease the situation or feel the guilt of things that were then done in the past of what you would call America's history.
Would you call that like survivor's guilt?
Survivor's guilt? I don't think it's as much as it's that.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like, I've heard of that before. That's my point.
I think what we have right now is we have a group on the political side of either being Democratic or liberal that then have this feeling that they've got to be better than. And to be better than, or to prove that you're better than, you then take this side of the ones that you think have either been opposed longer or that you are underneath the delusion that they are still opposed. So what do you do when you do that? So what you see in politics right now is that through that delusion creates division. Mm-hmm. And so not only are you having it done within political sides of the party here in America, but you're having that done in social settings. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what we were trying to take away from on the other podcasts that we did in the debate. And based upon that, you were then going to have people that either watch this or listen to this and, you know, are listening to what you're saying and are going, that's bullshit, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and, you know, how can he speak upon these things? And mm-hmm. the question is people's bigger point is that they want to keep saying you have to be black to talk about these issues. You can't be white and talk about.
Well, it's not even that though. That is true. I have heard that, but it's also you don't know where I've come from. You don't know my story, kind of thing.
But if we're going upon that logic, nobody knows where anyone's come from.
Oh, yeah. So that's why I continuously try to push the notion that the greatest minority is the individual itself.
Right, and you know, and actually to go back to that statement because I just thought of this. So, why do you think? Let's talk music for a second, okay? And then I have a question for you, but let's talk music for a second, right? Yeah. So you got people who can relate. Let's bring up J. Cole or something. Okay,
Yeah.
J. Cole talks a lot about the struggles of the black
Right.
black people,
Yeah.
black men, black women, black children, whatever. It talks a lot about the hood. You know, it talks a lot about the struggles. Now, people who can relate to that. So when you say individual stories and whatnot, I'm not really talking more so of individual stories. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not talking about individual stories. I'm talking more so about
A group.
the group
Yeah.
struggles, right? So because
Well, the thing is that I can listen to what I'm trying to say is that I can listen to J. Cole's music and not be black, and I'm not even white.
Right.
But the thing is that I cannot be black and still be extremely poor and grow up poor and listen to his music and go, hey, I might not be black, but I hear the other messages that are being preached
exactly.
inside this music.
But you can also listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, and you can listen and be you can be like, oh yeah, I can take that, and that empowers me. Same principle can be applied, and that's what I mean.
No,
by,
I'm not disagreeing.
Oh
at
no,
all.
yeah, for sure. No, I'm just explaining.
Well, it doesn't matter that stuff like that is out there because that's not our culture right now. That's not what society is right now. Society right now is not about empowering people. It's not about
that. I agree.
It's not about empowering people because, like you said, Asians are the number one breadwinners in America right now. It's not about empowering other people of other ethnicities to increase their breadwinning to get up there. It's about the victim mentality.
And it's about bringing
It's just everywhere. It's not about
bringing others down to raise others up.
It's not about let's bring up these guys. It's about let's shame those guys.
Yeah.
The mentality that we have to bring others down to raise other people up, it's flawed. Because again, that goes back to the division statement. But other than that, we need to be focusing on a way to raise all cultures up, because that's what America is. We need to be focusing on a way to raise all of these people up from both sides of the political party, no matter where you fall. Even if you're one of those people that wants to say, well, I don't want to give myself a label. Well, take a hard look in the mirror and go, where do you stand on these politics? Where do you stand on these statements?
But not even just politically, and this is what I don't
morally,
want.
ethically.
Right, yeah. Exactly, and that's what, and I don't want people to watch this and be like, politically this, politically that. Man, all it starts with is going out and saying what's up to somebody and just being like, you know what, like, for me personally, and I need to get better at this. I'm not perfect, but I want to one day be really, really good, because I'm not good at it right now, but good at reaching out to people and to being like, yo, what's up? Can I do anything for you? Is there anything you need?
I will say that the first step to that, as demonstrated by my pastor back in Mineola, is to do one random act of kindness. Start with one random act of kindness. For an example, today at Santa Fe, we had the housing fair. At the housing fair, there were people moving their boxes to trying to set up and whatnot. And I'm in a full-blown suit. I had a meeting and a video chat that morning. So what I had done was, even though I was in the suit, I went out and I said, hey, can I help you with these boxes? Oh, yeah. A little old lady trying to move these heavy boxes, tins of food. And I reached out and I helped.
Can I just say, if somebody walked by an old lady who's struggling with a box, y'all need Jesus. You're a jerk. Like, you need to go sit down and read, because you cannot let somebody elderly try to carry. You know what I mean?
1,000%. Like, even if it's a chair, a pillow, anything, at least offer, because you feel better about yourself. You feel better about.
Well, no, it's not. Okay, so yes, you feel better about yourself, whatever. But it's let's not forget the reason why we do what we do to serve others. You know what I mean?
To serve others. But in serving others, you feel better about yourself. The reason why this whole generation is. I seriously feel like this generation is more depressed than any generation prior, and I think that's because we have a lack of people reaching out and just random acts of kindness. Everybody wants to make it to the top. Everybody wants to be a part of the big organizations, but nobody wants to do the small little things that make every day worth it.
Do you want to jump into that for a second?
Let's finish. I was just about to say, before we do, man, we will jump into that. Yeah. I was about to say, keep that on your mind. I do want to circle around to the free speech. What was that face?
Well, y'all were talking. I was just kind of like,
oh no, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. No, because
we were gonna talk about the very beginning, but then we just kind of
right. It's fine. It's fine.
We're doing a good job.
Great discussion.
My bad, guys.
Not that loud.
Sorry, my bad. I just get real excited. But I want to circle around to the free speech and then the racial divide. So,
send it.
Huh?
I said send it.
Send it. Something said I already said it. I was like, you did. Did I miss it? No, but I just wanted. So with all that being said, so with delusion and
delusion and division, racial, so free speech, all that good stuff. So here's my thing. Give me a second.
You got a thing?
I have to think about
Just
this.
make sure you
Take all
have
the
a
time
thing.
you need.
I just need to think about this because
Do we have some Jeopardy music?
Yeah.
well, edit.
Copyright
No.
can't do that.
Dang it! All right. So anyways,
You're not gonna make me do that. I will not
No.
let that cringe into this.
but so what do you? So how do I ask this?
I guess you just full send it.
I swear.
Could you not?
Unedited. Just go for it.
No, but how? So okay. So when you have people who say you can't say this based on my race because the offensive. Yeah. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I kind of know where you're going. You answer me this though. Riddle me this. Are you coming from a?
I feel like you just need to say it.
Ooh, we're live.
Because
I'm trying to no. Douches.
Go ahead.
So, because you are of X race, you cannot speak on Y or Z.
I love what you guys are doing right now. Hold on. No.
Trying to be politically correct.
I get what you're doing, but what you have to understand is that nobody that goes back and listens to this or watches this, there's going to be 50% of them that go, I don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
So let's say if you guys could just go into a little.
Okay,
bit
so
more
so what I'm trying to
I
ask
don't even
is
know what
so
you're
what?
talking about.
Okay, so what I'm trying to ask is so like let's just say all right, somebody white says.
Oh, you
word.
want to talk about the thing on Facebook that I posted? Remember that one? When I posted.
No, but
I totally dumbfounded you.
What are you talking about?
No, I mean,
that's a conversation between them two.
no,
which is like,
but okay, so go ahead. What did you post on
So
Facebook?
the thing that I had
This is
posted
great.
about the whole Colin Kaepernick and kneeling, and then behind him was an elephant, and it was addressing the elephant in the room, speaking about how 2,000 plus black men, women, and children are dying within the inner city due to gang violence, drug abuse, and domestic abuse every single week in areas in California, Chicago, and New York, just to name a few. Those aren't the totals, but they're throughout the country. 2,000 plus black men and women and children are all dying and being hurt by drugs, gang violence, and domestic violence. But since I am of the fair skin, I caught lots of flack for that until I was able to explain myself.
Wait. Before we continue, where can that be? Do you know where you can cite
I
that
have
from?
it screenshot, but I was told to remove it. I was informed to remove it, not forced to remove it.
You were
Because
informed to move the cited data?
remove the post from Facebook.
Oh, okay.
By who? By Facebook?
By people who are not being named.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I finally understand where we
The
are.
FBI.
Now do you get what I'm saying?
my
Okay.
FBI man said to remove
Okay.
it.
So going along
Because that has to do with free speech. I mean,
No. Here's what I want to say upon that. So let's say hypothetically, the people that told you to remove that, you were a part of this group. Let's just say you were part of them.
Okay.
This is a privately owned institution, correct? Or privately sectioned off. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Okay.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Okay, yeah, go.
So let's say I'm a part of that institution that then told you to take that down. Correct, right? So if
And I'm working for this institution.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Continue.
And so hypothetical is all hypothetical. And so let's say, devil's advocate, I'm privately owned. You know,
Yes.
okay. Right. So is that where do the lines of this is how I'm too dumb to phrase it.
No,
so
I know where you're going.
So free speech and then the laws that are within having a privately owned business.
So you're kind of referring. Tell me if this kind of inches the way into that whole thing with the baker not wanting to bake the
Right.
cake.
This goes along along those lines.
Exactly. So,
Devil's advocate.
for
Devil's
me, and I do believe actually for private institutions, they follow their own laws, but are still held accountable to federal laws.
Exactly.
However, depending on the size of the business, depending on the shareholders, if there are shareholders, and depending if there is stock. If there is stock within the company, if there are shareholders, it's no longer a privately owned company. A privately owned company would be like a mom and pops. If a mom and pops, and that's the thing, if a mom and pop said to take down what you had said, morally, I would have to beg the question, what was it about?
Right.
And if it was truly something that was either spreading libel or slander, or well, in this case,
Harassment,
etc., I would understand for them to take it down. Now, if it's something that is fact-based, politically correct, maybe not politically correct in the aspect that we
socially,
see it.
Politically incorrect, as you would say.
Yes, but politically correct because of the information given and how it was presented. I see no reason why the mom and pop's private institution should have the right to tell me to take it down if it is factually based. It's not lying nor destroying anybody's reputation.
Right.
I feel like it's nobody's right to take that away from anybody.
Yeah.
I understand it's a private institution. If I'm wearing a shirt to your business that says "Surrender the booty," because I have a shirt like that, and I'm working, it's a tank top. It's a tank top. But if I'm wearing that to work,
Right.
and you say you're not allowed to wear that to work,
Right.
you're a privately owned institution.
That goes against dress code. Right.
Against dress code, it's your say or the highway.
Right.
As simple as that. But if it's something online, if it's something, that's the new frontier that we're still trying to figure out. Is how do we deal with
That's what I wanted to get
things
I think what gets even.
online.
I'm going to add one more thing. I'm going to let you talk. The only thing that makes it even trickier is, let's just say, hypothetically. Hypothetically, this is all within inside a educational institution.
Mm-hmm. That runs a whole different line of issues, because then you have to deal with what type of position are you holding? Are you holding a leadership position? Are you holding a position of just a regular student?
Right.
Is it a part of your research that you're doing for the college? Is it a part of just your own? Because everybody's been told, I've been told my entire life, to find a hobby. Mm-hmm. Some guys get into sports, some guys get into cars, some guys get into guns. I personally got into politics, and so
some guys get into podcasting.
Some guys get into podcasting. and so it's kind of,
who are we talking about?
Who are we talking about?
Shut up, George.
Sorry.
I think we're talking about Joe Rogan.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy.
We should add him.
We should have Joe Rogan on the Talk Your Walk podcast.
It's that easy. All right, George.
He should have a platform to see his opinions, you know?
Oh, yeah, man. What were you going to say earlier?
I totally forgot what I was going to say earlier. I know what I was going to say now. To kind of push back a little bit.
Yeah.
So what happened with the takedown of your post, wouldn't it, because of the nature of social media, right? Wouldn't it be comparable to, doesn't even matter the size of the business or whatever, or the organization or whatever. So, like, hypothetically, say that, like, you were outside of this big organization.
Okay.
Right? And say that you were saying something that wasn't necessarily wrong, but, you know, you were saying something that was still pretty...
socially is frowned upon.
Big, or whatever. Not even that. Just big. Socially, this big.
Yep.
Do they have the right to tell you, hey, don't say that here, get off our property, you know?
Yeah, okay.
So, like, so because of that, wouldn't that make it sort of comparable to where if you post something... if you post something like that, wouldn't they have the right to be like, hey, don't say that here?
So let's say hypothetically what I had said on the post, I had said that in person. Let's say I did. Let's say I made a poster, which I've never seen myself doing. But let's say I make a poster. Actually, I did in high school. So
Whoops.
Let's not
the truth here, please.
Resurrect those photos of me. Thank you. No. So let's say I had said that entire post. I was saying it, and you're saying outside of a building or anywhere in public.
I'm saying, I'm trying to think of a situation that would be comparable to saying it on social media, because social media is huge.
There is nothing like social media, though.
Exactly,
So actually,
but would you say that saying something on social media about something, is that comparable to if I were to say it outside the business in person, inside the business in person, next to the business in person?
So I know,
especially if it was about that business, you know?
So I know exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Let's think of Facebook as a streetway.
Okay.
All right, and your feed is the street. It is public property. You pay for it through your taxes. As soon as you click on someone's page, that is now their home.
Okay.
You go to their comment section on their page and write something. You are saying something in their home.
So they have the right to remove.
They have a right to remove it.
They have the right to remove or block you.
If it is on your feed, it would be like as if someone is walking next to you that is scrolling through their feed. So someone walking and you're saying something, someone's scrolling and they come across what you said. Facebook is owned by the public, and I understand there's the whole shareholders, the whole stock thing. I understand that, but Facebook is for the public.
So, but yeah, but I mean, we're answering questions that we already know because that's how Facebook is set up.
We're answering questions that we may already know, but there are plenty of other people out there listening that we're actually having the conversation about that may not even know that, or even the second part of it, may be so ignorant to the fact that they believe that because that could be qualified as hate speech,
no
that
offense.
anything like, no, full offense. So,
okay.
So, there's, the people that may not know that, or because they believe anything is hate speech, that it shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
I agree. Because there can be people just like that.
And it's
Facebook isn't the only place this stuff is happening.
But let's just make this.
Twitter's the biggest one.
YouTube is also a huge one.
Yeah.
YouTube.
Oh, let me tell you.
There are millions of videos getting taken down. I'm not.
Will Witt, for example.
Hold on. If people know about the videos being taken on YouTube, I'm not talking about the ones that should be taken down.
Yes.
Like
clearly.
the real
Anti-vax moms.
Yeah. Or if you know what no maps are, no maps.
We're not even going to go into that right now.
Well, just that's all I'm saying.
Go ahead.
So but there are videos, completely harmless videos, maybe not completely harmless, but there are videos getting taken down because of the same reasons. It's not just happening on Facebook. It's not just happening on Twitter. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And YouTube is this hugely public, domain and everything.
Wait, let me ask you this, though. And now I may cause some controversy. Now you just said.
Go for it, dude.
Okay, but here's the thing. Now you just said.
Let's get this shut down before it can even take off. Let's go for it.
Let me finish.
Well, gentlemen, it was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure,
sir.
So let me ask my question.
Too far.
Let me ask my question. Okay. So you just said that harmless videos. Okay, so people posting.
I said air quotes around that. To be fair.
Right. But you said videos posted on their page, and we just established that their page is like your home, or their page is their home
with the homeowners association.
Right. Their page is a place. Their page is a public place.
Okay, so if their page is a public place, then that same logic can be applied to the Facebook thing that we were just talking about. So this is why I bring this up, is because we can't talk about stuff and agree to this but disagree to this when this is something that contradicts what we just said.
Yeah.
So we need to figure that out.
Let me add on something to the comment about the whole Facebook post thing being your private property, how I said earlier about the street being the public and then your page, someone else's page is private. As I kind of made it as a joke, but it actually makes sense. Homeowners Association, they control what you do.
Wait, quickly.
With your property. Go ahead.
Did Facebook take it down, or did someone else pressure you to
private
take
institution?
It down?
Someone else suggested that it be removed.
Strongly suggested.
I don't like the inflection that
See,
you
that's
said.
the thing. That's the thing.
Suggested.
I am not.
Let's not get.
I'm not very sensitive. I think this whole argument can be solved by sensitivity level. How were you raised? Were you raised to take shit?
That you say that. No.
Sorry that I said curse words, but were you raised to take it, or were you raised to complain about it? And the way that I was raised is to take it. And so, talking about this whole suggested thing, to me, it was just kind of like suggested, but to others, it might have been a legitimate.
Right.
I don't want to say threat because it's not really a threat. It's just a legitimate suggestion.
See, but again, like you said, depending on what you're meant to handle, it very well could have been a threat.
Could have been a threat.
You're not the type of person to necessarily give in to threats.
And that's the thing. I have always been told, make a joke out of almost anything that you possibly can because life is way too short to be serious about it.
Plus, that's the purpose of comedy.
The purpose of comedy?
Let's slow down.
Hey, speaking of comedy, don't steal his punchline, dude. Come on. Go for it.
Wait, what?
Oh, I thought you stole your thunder.
I mean,
I'm done.
I thought you stole your thunder.
I didn't want to get too off track, but my question to even the viewers, my question to you guys is, does comedy surrender to political correctness?
No, see, we're not finished with this topic.
But
we're not finished with this topic.
Hey man,
y'all think
you know
about
what?
that.
I'm
Y'all can
saying
think
right
about
here,
that.
right now,
One
on March.
at a time, please. Sir.
What's today's date? Is today the 20th?
20th.
Okay, March 20th. I'm saying we will have you back on, and we will have that conversation because I could talk
fantastic.
for 5 hours about that.
Let's
But
do it.
we're
I
not
wrote
gonna
a
do
whole
that.
paper.
No, we're not going to do that
on
right now.
it.
I'll write an essay. I haven't written an essay in 2 years. I'll write an essay.
I've written a 3-page
Can
essay
you just
recently.
stop, please?
Okay. Okay.
All right. Taskmaster over there. All right.
Oh Lord. Okay, moving back.
Did somebody think?
So moving back to George, are you okay there, son?
Stop. Don't look at me.
So moving back to the
Try to keep it professional. It's all right.
Homeownership.
Yes.
Homeowners Association.
And you have the
much.
homeowners association, which pretty much controls what you can do with your house. It's your
Okay,
house.
so you brought up a good point. So you said someone pressured you. Take that off. We're saying that
We're saying that
the institution
the
or whatever.
those
Yeah.
those
took off
at
the
large,
videos.
the powers that be.
But okay, I was a little bit off. The situations are different in that the site owners were not the ones to do the
That's what I mean.
censoring.
No.
Can I say that word?
Facebook did not force me to remove the content.
That's
So
that's
that's
not
different.
what I was saying.
Like, yeah.
I was saying that on places like YouTube, the company, the people
Yes,
behind,
yes.
they were taking
Along
videos
with
down.
things like Twitter.
That's what I mean.
Along with
Yeah.
Twitter, yeah.
And actually, Instagram now, if you look at a lot of the more right-wing pages, which it always seems to be conservatives, but we're gonna get on that a different day.
Actually, you know what? Even on YouTube, people are. Have you heard about any of the things with copyright claims and strikes
With like
on YouTube now?
songs and whatnot, I know
Yeah,
that's a
with,
big
like,
issue.
With not even that, there have been multiple videos
Yeah.
where there was a. I can't remember who specifically was about, but a video was made. This very small content creator made a video critiquing of another video that was made by a bigger influencer.
Yeah.
That bigger influencer did not agree with the things that were said and sent a copyright claim on the video and got it taken down. Copyright strike on a video and got it taken down.
The person didn't like what was said.
They did not like. I think. I hope I'm remembering this correctly. That specifically said they did not agree with what was being said in the video about them. So they.
Was it
took it down.
slander or libel? Did they write anything or say anything that was untrue?
I'm gonna be honest.
It's okay if you don't remember.
I was not around to watch the actual video before it got taken
And
down.
that's why I
But
would say let's not go down that road.
I was under the impression that it wasn't hateful, but it was
have
probably
been.
harsh critique.
So then let's talk about this then. So, and I keep bringing this up, but like PragerU and Will Witt. Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
Will Witt did mention YouTube's been taking down my videos, PragerU's videos. There are.
You just did that.
I did.
You went like this.
Oh, I didn't
You
mean
did
to.
some single lady stuff.
Yeesh, that's
Yes,
that's,
sir. You got to get on that.
That's.
Wait,
Woo!
ladies, please help him out.
Please no. Please no. But so, yeah. So YouTube was taking down his videos because for God knows why.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the specific reason, but because
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what he said. I don't want to misquote anybody. And yeah. So so that's my thing. So do they have the right to do that? I mean, like that goes back into the free speech thing. I mean,
yeah. So freedom of speech is protected by 8 different rules. The majority of them falling along the lines of did it offend? Not offend. Did it hurt anybody's character? Defamation of character. That's not protected under the First Amendment. Meaning, if I said something to you like, "This is not true." Let's say I said you pooped your pants, and you poop your pants every day. That's defamation of character. And I was saying that to people. That's not protected by free speech. Also, if it incites violence. If I was speaking, and that's where I believe hate speech becomes a thing, is when you are inciting violence. But then that goes into burning the flag. But we could talk about that another time.
yeah.
Freedom of
There's
speech
a lot that
freedom
could
of
be-
speech is protected under everything that does not include harm, verbal harm. But verbal harm, as of recent, has lost its definition. It is now verbal harm is now considered being offended. Being offended is now considered to have been harmed. People who are, I'm not going to go down that road of labels, but like people who are, let's say, more sensitive, will take something that someone has said and say that it offended them and that it is hate speech. What would they say? Well, they said XYZ. Well, that's not hateful. That's their opinion. Did it hurt you? No. Did it hurt someone else? No. It was their opinion? Yes. It's not our problem.
And the biggest issue with that is what you're saying is that what people could deem offensive could just necessarily be facts that are proven things to be real statistically in the world that could end up offending somebody that they think is
Let's talk about a fact.
physically harming them.
Oh,
and that's
100,000%.
where you go back. It's delusion.
Yeah, and they're now against biology. A lot of people are fighting biology and actual fact because of this whole new movement of morals, morality, social justice, but without a proper backing for me, the Bible. The Bible clearly paints out the different moral and ethical things that you can and can't do while on earth. True, there are a few things that are a bit outlandish. However, if we start saying that, oh, this is immoral, and this is immoral, and this is immoral from a human standpoint, which humans are imperfect and immoral,
and we also don't know what's going on.
How do you properly gauge what is moral and immoral anymore if we do not have a basis, a foundation?
Oh, let's get into that. So, no, really though, because
hold on, where are you going with this?
Well, no, I was just gonna say your point, and not bringing up the Bible specifically, but
yeah, that's fine. That's just me.
Because I agree with you. You know, the Bible is the basis of my beliefs. But see, if you base what you think off of different ideas and whatnot, that isn't like and this is my opinion, and I know that not all of us are in agreement. We can make that.
Well, I don't even think it's necessarily that we're not in agreement. I'm just saying, not even to play devil's advocate, but to state something. It's the same point that I've made before. I find incredible value morally and ethically in all religions, whether it be the points that they make or them basically just having things that happen in history, all in most of these religious books. Most of these religions have something morally and ethically to prove and to provide to culture as a society as a being. What I'm saying, though, that as true religious people, and I'm not saying that I'm not a believer, I'm just saying coming from an unbiased position, when you add religion as a basis for everything, you then exclude so many other people that don't use that as their basis, but they're still entirely good, wholehearted people. And that's what I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm saying as somebody who is a believer that when you want to use that argument, you then lose so much of the majority to the fact that you're it's exclusion.
Well, not really, because
yes.
Well,
really.
no, because I think that, and personally, and I mean, we could get into this all day, but we're not gonna have time.
No.
But I do think that, and I believe that we have a lot of good people in this world, right? And a lot of good people can be defined by people who follow the law, people who have good morals and beliefs because they want to do this X, Y, Z, and follow the law. Don't kill people, whatever. Serve your brother, and but here's the thing, where are those laws are created by man, and man is not a race, like the human race hasn't been around forever, right?
Yeah.
So everything came from something. So when you base, I think that the laws are based off of something solid, and that solid thing is the Bible. And then
those were still created by men, though. Those were still created by the humankind.
Exactly, that's what I mean, though.
And what I'm saying is that if you don't have a belief that they were spoken to by God, it then disproves the point, and it's still been made by man.
So
wait, say that.
Regardless if I get what the point that you're saying, morally or ethically, these good people are going off of laws and things that were made by man. What I'm saying is that I get what you're trying to say, that the Bible can be held to a higher standard because it was written through God's word. But the point is that if you're not a believer, at the end of the day, the Bible's just words full of words that men wrote. If you're not a believer, those words are still just words created by men.
So wait, real quick. Let me bring this back real quick. Anybody who, even religious, non-religious, can agree that murder is wrong. Correct?
Right, exactly.
Wait, let me continue.
That's the common ground.
Rape is wrong. Can we agree with that?
Yeah.
Let me continue. Theft is wrong. Let me continue. Disrespecting your parents, we can kind of all agree that that's kind of a no-no unless they're just terrible people.
No, we can agree that that's a no-no, but can we also agree that everybody's going to do it at one point in their life?
Of course. But what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to give you guys just kind of a visual foundation. Just because you aren't religious doesn't mean you don't already follow.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's
these
all I'm saying.
guidelines. It's just those who are religious. It's
Where-
instilled in them.
So I think that
I don't even know that's
Well, it's
see,
instilled-
No. It's not even that. No, it's not even
no.
that because I think that it's where you believe the guidelines come from. Everybody believes that there are guidelines, but not everybody believes where the guidelines come from.
That's what I
believe
was-
the
that's what I was
guidelines
doing.
come from.
I've been around way too many people that were brought up Christian that those things were never instilled in them because they defied all of it. So saying making the broad point, I'm not disagreeing with. I'm just saying that I've been through that experience where I grew up through my teenage years around people that were so faith-based when they were younger teenagers. That to say that it's instilled in all of these people that have been taught the lessons of the Bible, it's not true.
Well,
because those people go off from the truth, they go off from whatever.
That's
it is
because
that they
nobody's
believe in.
perfect, though.
Well, hold on,
I'm
real
not
quick. I
saying-
just wanted to say
I'm
I
not
was
saying that
I was actually
nobody's
gonna get to that. I was gonna say that the why I said instilled is that we know for a fact that if you go to Bible school, you go to Sunday school, you're going to be taught that. We know that for a fact. At least you should. That's the whole point of Bible school. It's to be taught the Bible. What is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, etc., etc. That's where I was trying to come from, is that if you are religious, you're given the teachings. If you're not religious, you have to get those teachings from either your parents, those around you who you trust, or your friends. So that's all I was trying to get at, is there's different means of getting to an end.
Right.
And that's the only thing I was trying to say, is with people who are religious, they have an avenue. Those who aren't religious don't necessarily have avenues.
Yes.
And so they have to find a way to get to the same spot. That's really all I was touching on. I'm not saying people who aren't religious aren't.
No.
I don't ever believe that.
And let's make sure that we're not, putting everyone into a mold.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously going to be exceptions. There's going to be people that were raised religiously that are going to reject and move away, and there are going to be people who, came up in a horrible neighborhood and had horrible parents that were taught horrible, and they're going to defy all odds and come out as some of the most fantastic and loving and amazing, beautiful people ever.
And then you have people that follow the Catholic faith, and they're just terrible people.
Oh wow! Yikes! All right, shake that one off.
Yeah, let's
So
pass that.
let's just go past that.
Poor Meg. I hope she doesn't watch this.
There's too many people. There's too many differences, which I think I can tie back into the very first point. There's too many differences of opinions, of the lives that we've lived. Just in this room, the differences are amazing. How I was raised between how you were raised, how I was raised between how everyone was raised by different skin tone, the way we talk, the way we think, the way we act, the way we move. Everything over the entire spectrum of the human race is so glaringly different that we have these types of things.
And that's what makes it
where
unique.
free speech is turned into hate speech.
Yeah.
Where people, simply because they disagree with something that you said, maybe they even agree with what you say, but he's white. How dare he say that?
Yeah.
How dare he say the truth? That white man, how dare he? That black man, how dare he say that Hispanic? How dare they say the truth?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I can.
there's all of these. That's what I don't understand, is that we are one race, the human race.
That's why I don't say racist or anything. I try not to. I'm actually trying to train myself to say your different ethnicity.
Yeah.
Versus your different race, because we're all the same race. I
Yeah.
understand socially. Well, I don't know who you've been talking to if he's not of the same race. But socially we use racism and race as different colors of our skin. But truly, I mean, do you guys know the story of why skin color is different?
And because of the continents that were split up through.
We weren't around when the continents split up. We actually all originated from Africa. Some of us went to Europe. Some of us went through Asia and actually ended up in North America, Native Americans. And the different needs for skin protection.
Evolution.
That's what I'm saying.
Evolution is a real thing. It's not just Darwin's theory of evolution, where single-celled organisms.
It's a giant.
It's not
conversation.
Money true. So
whatever.
Let's bring it back.
The evolutionary needs of a people to fit their surroundings.
Yeah. My big thing is we've become so diverse, and I love diversity. There's nothing wrong with it. Actually, statistics show that companies who are more diverse are more successful. However, I will say that being too diverse in certain aspects can become harmful. Because then you have different people who you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't wear this, you can't wear that, and it starts to get very vague what is and isn't allowed. We need to be able to understand that yes, diversity is beautiful. However, when you're in the workplace, we need to be one. What you do outside of work is understandable. What I do outside of work is understandable. But once we are in the workplace, it needs to no longer be no more individuals. It's one company, one group.
And even that company diversity, that can turn toxic as well, because then you have that whole thing where we got to fill quotas.
Yes.
You
Okay,
know,
that's a big thing. Yep.
like that whole topic about universities picking, different types of people based on ethical backgrounds.
And that's what's wrong with job applications and college applications is the fact that they ask you what's your race and gender. I don't believe that should be a thing. It should be what have you done? Why do you want to come to this college? What can you provide to this college? What do you want to do with your life? 4 questions, you're done. You can even maybe do it to 3 and you're done. I don't want to know your race. I don't want to know your religion. I don't want to know your gender. You can choose whatever you want. I don't care. What I want to know is, are you going to be a good fit for this college? Because as soon as we start getting into there, we start wanting to fill quotas, percentages. We want this amount of students here, this amount of students here, and we get that divide versus it just being strictly based off of who you are and what you can provide.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if we're gonna wrap this up in sum of a message, since we can't really fit everything that it is that we're trying to say
there's a lot of stuff that I said.
What I want to say is that we unpacked a lot of things, but as far as the sum of the message that we talked about today, freedom of speech, hate speech, what can be allowed, what's offensive, I think it all comes back to the individual. And the baseline for what we need to use.
It's fluidity. The freedom of speech is always fluid.
Always finding the common ground too. I believe it's definitely the big thing.
Versus trying to get someone removed, fired, etc. What we should be doing is trying to figure out why did you say that.
Right.
Can we talk about how we should not say that again? Because the way we were raised all differently. What offends me might not offend you. What offends you might not offend me, etc., etc. We need to be able to find that common ground and have conversations about it and not just assume that everybody's on the same level as us.
True.
I
appreciate you coming out, man. Guys, I appreciate you guys watching this. Honestly, this was a great episode. There's a lot of stuff to dissect. I encourage you to go back and listen multiple times, probably, if you truly want to understand. If you have any questions,
please contact me because I've been misinterpreted before. So please contact me.
I'm gonna let you plug yourself real quick. Go ahead and plug anything that you got going on, any social media that you have.
Oh, okay. So my Instagram is thepatriot.fit. My name is, of course, as you know, Matthew Cheek. And if you guys have any questions or hate mail, please send it my way so we can have a respectful conversation about anything you might have agreed with or did not agree with.
This is the Talk Your Walk.
And everything will be linked down below. Woo! All right. Let's get out of here.
You're literally the worst.
I'm so sorry.
That was a perfect ending, and you just...